They spent months trying to convince everyone that Shedeur Sanders was not ready for the NFL. Analysts kept repeating the same talking points over and over again, like a script they had already memorized before the season even ended. Too inexperienced, too raw, too much hype. The criticism was loud, constant, and delivered with total confidence from people who had already made up their minds before he threw a single meaningful pass at the professional level. And while all of that noise was building around Shedeur, something completely different was happening on the other side of the conversation. Deshaun Watson was already being treated like the automatic starter before a single meaningful throw had even happened in Cleveland. The media narrative was locked in tight. Watson was supposed to walk back into that building, reclaim his job, silence the doubters, and move on like the last few seasons never happened. Nobody was seriously challenging that assumption. Nobody was asking hard questions about whether Watson was actually the best option for this franchise moving forward. The decision felt made before any competition had taken place. That is the environment Shedeur Sanders walked into. Not a fair fight, not an open competition, a situation where the outcome already felt predetermined by contracts, politics, and media narratives that had nothing to do with actual football performance. And yet, something nobody predicted started happening the moment OTAs began. Because while analysts were busy explaining why Shedeur could not compete at this level, Shedeur himself was busy proving something completely different inside the Browns facility. The doubters were loud, the criticism was real, but none of it stopped what was coming. And what came next completely changed the conversation around this franchise in ways nobody saw arriving so fast.
When OTA started, the expectation inside and outside the Browns organization was simple. Watson would look like the veteran he is, Shedeur would look like the rookie everyone assumed he was. The reps would reflect the experience gap, the gap would confirm the narrative, and by the time training camp arrived, the conversation would quietly die down and everybody would move forward accepting Watson as the starter without much resistance. That was the plan, that was the story, except nobody told Shedeur Sanders about that plan. From the very first session, coaches reportedly started noticing something they were not fully prepared for. Shedeur did not show up to OTAs looking like a nervous rookie trying to survive practice reps and avoid embarrassing moments. He showed up looking like a quarterback with something to prove, someone trying to take a job away from a veteran. That energy was immediate, that energy was visible, and that energy was impossible to ignore once people inside the facility started feeling it in real time. His footwork looked cleaner than expected, his timing looked sharp and natural. His command at the line of scrimmage stood out from the earliest reps. Rookie quarterbacks almost always struggle with the speed of NFL defenses during early practices. Windows close faster than they did in college, reads become more complicated, pressure comes from angles they have never experienced before. But according to everyone watching those early sessions, Shedeur did not look overwhelmed by any of it. He looked comfortable, he looked calm. He looked like someone who had already made peace with the pressure before he even arrived. And the deeper those practices went, the more attention he started pulling from coaches, teammates, and everyone else paying close attention inside that facility. For weeks before OTAs even began, the Browns fan base had been completely split down the middle on this quarterback situation. And it was not a quiet disagreement. It was loud, emotional, and everywhere you looked online. One side of the fan base firmly believed the organization would never give Shedeur a genuine opportunity no matter what happened on the practice field. The reasoning was straightforward. Watson had the contract. Watson had the experience. Watson had the organizational investment behind him. And in the NFL, those things matter in ways fans sometimes do not fully appreciate from the outside. Front offices protect their financial decisions publicly, even when they are privately having different conversations. The other side of the fan base believed something different entirely. They believed talent would eventually force the coaching staff into a decision they could not rationally avoid. They pointed to Watson's recent performance history. They pointed to the energy building around Shedeur coming out of Colorado. They pointed to the fact that NFL teams ultimately have to put the best available player on the field if they are serious about winning. Both sides made reasonable arguments. Both sides had real evidence supporting their position. But there was one thing almost nobody on either side was predicting. Nobody expected the shift to happen this fast. Nobody mapped out a scenario where 3 days of OTAs would completely flip the public conversation around this quarterback battle. The expectation was that this would be a slow process, a gradual evaluation, something that played out over weeks and months before any real conclusions could be drawn. Instead, the story moved at a completely different speed, and by the time most fans realized how quickly things were changing, the momentum had already started pointing in a direction nobody fully anticipated.
Day 3. That is the moment everything changed. According to multiple reports coming directly out of Browns OTAs, Day 3 was where Shedeur Sanders completely took over the conversation inside that facility. Not gradually, not quietly, completely. His completion percentage reportedly separated from every other quarterback in camp by a visible margin. His rhythm looked natural and easy in a way that surprised people watching closely. The ball was coming out of his hand quickly, his decisions were clean, and most importantly, the offense looked genuinely alive and moving with real energy when he was operating under center. That last part matters more than statistics can capture. Coaches notice energy, teammates notice confidence. When a quarterback starts controlling the flow of practice and making everything around him feel smooth and explosive, everybody in that building feels the difference immediately. One report described a throw where Shedeur fired a pass through a tight window between two coverage defenders before they even had time to fully react. Another deep sideline throw reportedly forced coaches watching the rep to stop and mentally replay what they had just seen, because the ball placement was nearly perfect. These are not the throws of a quarterback surviving early camp. These are the throws of someone competing at a completely different level than the timeline suggested was possible. And then, something happened that sent fans into a complete frenzy online. Reports surfaced that coaches began increasing Shedeur's opportunities with higher-level reps as practice continued. That single detail changed everything, because when a coaching staff starts feeding a rookie quarterback more meaningful reps mid-practice, it means something real is happening. It means they are seeing something that demands a closer look. And whatever they were seeing on Day 3 clearly demanded exactly that. The moment those Day 3 reports started spreading online, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Browns fans who had spent weeks expressing doubt about Shedeur suddenly started changing their tone completely. The same people who were defending Watson's starting position without question began asking different questions. Fans from other teams across the league started paying attention too, and the national sports conversation, which had largely ignored Shedeur's development since draft night, suddenly could not stop talking about what was happening inside the Browns facility. But the most fascinating part of the entire reaction was watching how the narrative shifted in real time. Remember the same media personalities who spent months dismissing Shedeur before OTAs even started? The ones who confidently declared this competition was basically over before it began? They suddenly found themselves in an uncomfortable position. Instead of giving Shedeur credit for what was being reported, some of them immediately started moving the goalposts in ways fans noticed instantly. First, the argument was that he would never get a real opportunity to compete. Then, when he clearly was competing, the argument shifted to OTAs not mattering. Then, when coaches started publicly praising him, the argument became that coaches only test rookies without ever planning to start them. Every time one excuse stopped working, another one appeared to replace it. Fans were not buying any of it. Social media called it out immediately and loudly. And once national sports pages started reposting quotes and clips discussing Shedeur's rapid development, the pressure on everyone who had underestimated him began building at a speed nobody inside or outside Cleveland was fully prepared to manage. The moment Todd Monken stepped in front of reporters after practice, people immediately sensed something different in the way he was carrying himself. Coaches are trained to stay vague during quarterback competitions. They protect veterans. They downplay rookies. They say the right things without revealing too much. That is the standard playbook every coaching staff runs when the media starts asking uncomfortable questions about position battles. But Monken did not follow that playbook, not completely. When reporters pressed him repeatedly about Watson being the expected starter, Monken pushed back harder than most people were anticipating. He made it clear the competition was genuinely real. He repeated multiple times that the best player would play.
And while he never directly handed the starting job to Shedeur Sanders, fans listening carefully could hear something shifting beneath the surface of every answer he gave. Because coaches can hide a lot of things, genuine excitement about a player is usually not one of them. Monken specifically praised Shedeur's understanding of offensive concepts, his ability to process information quickly, and the natural speed at which he was adapting to the system. Those are not throwaway compliments. Coaches do not casually deliver that kind of specific praise about rookie quarterbacks in front of reporters unless they truly believe something real is developing. When a coach with Monken's experience and reputation starts talking that way publicly about a first-year player, the league pays attention, teams pay attention, and most importantly, everyone inside the Browns' locker room pays attention. That praise landed with real weight, and the conversation it started inside the facility and across the league was exactly the kind of conversation the Browns never expected to be having this early in the offseason calendar.
Every veteran quarterback in the NFL understands the same fundamental truth about how momentum works at the position. One moment, you are the unquestioned starter with full organizational support and public confidence behind you. The next moment, a younger player starts stacking impressive performances, and fans are chanting for the rookie before preseason even begins. That shift can happen faster than most people realize, and that is exactly why this situation suddenly became so dangerous for everyone involved in Cleveland, because momentum was no longer a question anymore. It was visibly moving in one direction. Reports suggested Shedeur was receiving more meaningful reps than anyone originally predicted entering camp. Veterans on the roster were reportedly impressed by how naturally he carried himself, despite the pressure surrounding every move he made at the position. Players were visibly more engaged during his reps. The offense was moving differently when he was under center. Locker rooms can sense authenticity almost immediately. When players start genuinely believing in a quarterback, everything around that belief changes quickly. Energy changes, confidence changes, the way teammates talk about the position changes. And according to multiple reports coming out of Browns camp, that belief around Shedeur was already growing faster than the organization had prepared for. That created a problem nobody inside Cleveland had a clean answer to, because Watson had the contract, Watson had the experience, Watson had everything organizational logic normally protects at the quarterback position, but Shedeur had something Watson could not manufacture or reclaim through reputation alone. He had momentum. And in the NFL, momentum at the quarterback position has a way of forcing decisions that no front office ever fully plans for in advance. Cleveland wanted a quarterback competition. They got one, except the competition arrived at a speed and intensity nobody inside that organization was fully prepared to manage this early in the offseason. And now the Browns face a decision that could define the direction of this franchise for the next decade. Do they stay loyal to the veteran? Do they honor the contract, protect the investment, and trust that Watson's experience will eventually prove more valuable than a rookie's early momentum? Or do they follow what the practices are showing them? Do they trust the energy building around Shedeur Sanders and make the kind of bold decision that franchises only make when they genuinely believe a special player has arrived ahead of schedule? Front offices think differently than fans. Contracts matter, politics matter, reputations matter. But eventually, football forces the truth into the open, no matter how hard organizations try to control the narrative around it. Coaches want to win. Players want the best chance to compete, and if Shedeur keeps performing at this level through training camp and into preseason games against live defenses, those internal conversations are only going to become louder and harder to quiet down. The scary part for the rest of the NFL is that Shedeur might still be nowhere near the ceiling of what he can become. Rookie quarterbacks rarely look this comfortable this early unless something genuinely special is developing. The timing, the anticipation, the confidence, the command, those things are nearly impossible to teach, and according to everything coming out of Browns camp, Shedeur is already showing all of them. He is no longer just fighting to be included in the conversation. He is fighting to become the face of this franchise, and the only real question left is how much longer Cleveland can look at what is happening right in front of them and pretend the answer is not already becoming clear.